Hello, fellow Dotaholics. This is Keith UAPC bringing you a Pro Dota commentary. This matchup is actually not part of any particular tournament. It's actually just a match from the EEDL. It's a team headed up by Dendi against a team headed up by Kuroki. Now, why I chose this match is because it's from the new version, 668, and if you notice, the mode is Captain's Mode and Unban. Unban is a new mode where all the heroes are available. Normally, heroes that have recently been changed are unavailable in Captain's Mode, and the reason I wanted to see an Unban game was to see some of the new heroes in action in a pro game. So they can teach the rest of us noobs how those heroes are meant to be played. Another thing worth commenting on is the fact that the way Captain's Mode works has been changed in this new version. If you pay attention, so it started off with one team banning one hero, Mortred in this case, followed by a single ban from the other team. That's Eridar, the Shadow Demon, one of the new heroes. So I'm fortunate to see him banned. I wanted to see as many new heroes as I could, but pretty known that a lot of them will be banned. But in any event, so then Venomancer gets banned by the other team, and now we go back to Dendi. One thing that's really interesting, I think, with with these new heroes, they're not in the game yet, but they'll really shake up the metagame, and so after 667 had been going on for so long, there had been sort of a pretty stable set of heroes that you would always see banned, and it just sort of got uninteresting, the fact that the same heroes are out of the running every single time. And when the new heroes get in, maybe some of them will make the perma ban list for at least a little while until people really figure out how to deal with them or what their strengths and weaknesses are. And some of those other heroes that we didn't see in games so often, like maybe Pugna, for instance, might start to sneak into games more often. So continuing with the bans, so Dendi's third ban was the Guardian Spirit, another new hero, and Kuroki's was the new Arena Assassin. Now you notice this is where it departs. They've done 3 bans, and now they're going into picks. So Kuroki picks the Thrall first pick, that's one of the new heroes, so excited to see him. And Dendi picks up the Gyrocopter, another new hero, and Kelder, the Ancient Apparition, who is not a new hero, but he had been unavailable in Captain's Mode. I don't know if he's still unavailable in normal Captain's Mode or not. I think he's actually still unavailable. I don't think this new version changed any of the heroes who weren't available, like Nerubian Assassin, Kaldir, and Nasaj, and I forget who else. I think they're all still unavailable by default normally in this new version. However, in unban mode, everyone is available. So now Kuroki's, I think he does, maybe, it's either 2, I think it's 2 picks, and then Dendi will do a pick and a ban. But I'm not positive, actually. I haven't really, I've never played this new Captain's Mode, the picking order, myself. I'll speed it up a bit until we see who he picks. So I don't know much to say about how the laning is going to go, because frankly I don't know. I know Ancient Apparition's a great solo mid hero, so without knowing who else is on his team, it's hard to say that he'll solo mid or not, but it's fairly likely, I think. And Kuroki, I bet he's going to play the new hero for himself. This is, I think, sort of a for fun game. That's the sort of feel I get. And I think Kuroki will want to play the Thrall himself, and probably solo as well. Although I'm not sure that's sort of an optimal use of the hero yet. I don't think anyone's really sure if that's an optimal use of the hero yet or not. People just want to try him out. And that's exactly what this game's going to be. So Kuroki picked up the Darkseer and the Pugna for his other picks. So another thing about this new format is initially only 6 heroes are banned before picks. That means there are really a lot of your first 6 picks are wide open, because initially there are only 6 heroes banned, whereas before you started with 8. So even more, there are more bans total. It's almost as if there are fewer. And what I mean by more bans total is after the Switch Doctors picked up, we actually go back into another phase of banning, where Kuroki bans Bloodseeker, and then Dendi bans the Broodmother, and now Kuroki's going to ban someone else, and then Dendi will ban someone else. So Kuroki bans the Visage, and now Dendi has his chance to ban his final hero. So yeah, there are more bans total, but initially you only ban 6, and then you pick. So in a way, it's like there are less, kind of. One bad thing is, though, it makes this whole process take longer. This process is not one I've ever enjoyed, particularly when I'm playing a Captain's Mode game where someone else is the captain. It's always kind of like, hurry up and pick my hero already. Just because I play, sort of not very high level games and I'm impatient. I normally stick to RD. That's about as long as I like the picking process to get, but that's enough of my mode preferences. I'm sure we all have our own preferences. So Dendi's final ban is the Visage, who is again normally who's not available in Captain's Mode, but in this unban mode, everyone is wide open for picks. So I think Kuroki's going to pick his fourth hero, then Dendi picks his fourth and fifth at the same time, then Kuroki finishes his last hero. And that's the end. Eason says, WTF, 5 bans? It's what is it, 5 bans? I don't even think they know the new system themselves. LOL. But yes, it is 5 bans now. 5 bans, or it's 3, not 5. So it'll be interesting to see how on earth they round out their team, because Kuroki right now, if you notice, he has 3 intelligence heroes, none of whom scale that well. Thrall doesn't really have... Thrall's not much of a scaling hero at all. He's sort of your typical intelligence hero in that regard. Darkseer, you can say his illusions scale a bit, but he's more of a mobility ganking kind of hero, I guess. And Pugna, his ward is kind of good throughout the whole game, but really Pugna is more of an early game tower pusher, and after his AoE nuke stops being useful, he really can't contribute as much anymore. His ward still does a little, but not as much in the mid-game phase. So Kuroki opts for yet another intelligence hero, the Storm Spirit, who scales a bit better than their other heroes, but is again more of a mid-game hero. So this is a very mid-game ganking lineup I'm seeing from Kuroki, I believe. I was wrong. I thought Dendi would actually pick 2 heroes at the same time, but it's actually he just picked up 1 hero. It's 1 at a time. If you remember before, it would go 1, 2, 2, 2, but this is just a 1, 1, 1 type deal. So he picks up the Rylai, who's her mana is great in theory, but sometimes other support heroes can offer more. Although the thing about Crystal Maiden is, as a support hero in her own lane, she's usually not as good as some of the other support heroes out there, like Witch Doctor, for instance. However, she helps the other lanes just through her aura, so she's sort of unique in that respect, that she can be in a tri-lane but still help out your 2 souls at the same time. No other support hero can really do that without roaming, and that means that, and when you do roam, often your tri-lane will get countered by the enemy tri-lane, and you'll lose the hero as you go roam on a different lane. In any event, Kuroki is just thinking about his last pick, and I would think he'll pick something that is more of a late game hero that can, last better if the game drags on and they can't succeed in the middle game. They could take a hero like Lucifer, who's not really a late game hero per se, but he's sort of an early, mid, and late game hero. He's just a very well-rounded hero, I'd say. But he opts for a Stealth Assassin, which is I don't think I've seen a Stealth Assassin in a long time. And I'm just reading Kuroki's chat. He's saying, what was he said? He was saying something about Ancient Apparition, 200 hit points, Storm Spirit, Stealth Assassin, Global Gankers. I'm not quite sure. I didn't quite catch his logic. We'll see if it plays out. I better take Fog of War off here. Actually, I'll take this little moment to go through who's on which hero as soon as they go through picking. I'll go with Sentinel first, or the Scourge first. So, Super Not is playing the Scourge's Pugna. Aizen is playing their Riki. Kuroki, as I thought, is opting to play their Thrall. X10 is on their Storm Spirit. And Lost Nova DR is on the Darkseer. Playing for the Sentinel, on the Ancient Apparition, we have Dr. Zed CRR, an Ancient Apparition that was widely considered to be quite imba, so we'll see if he can justify his imba status now that he's actually seen in the game. Lost Jolie DR is on the Witch Doctor. Wild Child is on the Slardar, so Witch Doctor Slardar lane, pretty common. We'll see if they're joined by a Crystal Maiden perhaps later on to form a tri-lane. The Gyrocopter is being played by Dendi. The Crystal Maiden is being played by N1P Boki. And that is that. So it appears that they might be giving the Gyrocopter solo bottom, although I wouldn't be surprised if Crystal Maiden helped him out. He's not a... The thing I'll say about this Gyrocopter is he's not a great solo because a lot of his skills are almost as good at level 1 as they are at level 4. He really doesn't gain advantage from levels so much. He's really a very powerful hero just at level 3 with 1 level of each of his 3 non-ultimate abilities. And beyond that, he doesn't really get much stronger. And another thing I'll say about him, he's actually an agility primary attribute hero, but really all his abilities are spells, so he eats up a lot of mana. So even though he's an agility hero, a ranged agility hero, he plays more like a strength caster would, needing to pick up those mana items to spam spells. So Thrall looks like he's being first blooded. He gets hit by Ancient Apparition stun and Witch Doctor stun, and down he goes. This is one of his abilities he gets off here. It's a field that keeps people inside, but he used it too late to be of use. Also, it has a bit of a delay before it goes off. So the reason it came a bit late was just because of that delay, I guess. So the top is pretty strange tri-lane, really. We have a Stealth Assassin, and a Storm Spirit, and a Pugna, who normally you would consider all of them carries that want farm in their own right. However, it looks like Stealth Assassin is playing the carry, and the rest of them are just doing harass with the ranged attacks, while he sits back and last hits the creeps. And Witch Doctor's doing a bit of support too, but the thing about poor Witch Doctor is he has got 2 enemy ranged heroes to go up against, so he's going to have a hard time hitting them more than they hit him. But hiding in the trees will give him a huge advantage. It's really hard to hit someone in the trees, especially someone with 600 range when you're Storm Spirit and only have 480. Just look at the amount of hits that Storm Spirit hits him compared to how many hits Witch Doctor gets. Witch Doctor's way out hitting. Just look at the health. You see, Storm Spirit's already down like, it's at 2/5 health, and he's hardly done anything to Witch Doctor in return. So if you're a support hero with 600 range, eating into the trees like that to do exactly what Witch Doctor did there is a very essential part of being a support hero in the top lane on the Sentinel side of things. And so this Gyrocopter is hanging around. We'll see if I can catch him use any of his abilities later. I might explain them as he uses them, rather than ahead of time. Just in case you have absolutely no clue what the heck these strange Rafflecopter things are. Yeah, that's the other thing I mentioned. This is sort of an epic battle of Raffle. We'll have the Rafflecopter going up against the Raffle Panda and see who's the Rafflest. But a lot of damage gone out against the Slardar thanks to Pugna using his Decrepify plus his nuke. That does quite a bit of damage even at low levels. So Thrall he's opted for a very boring, bland, sort of generally good starting item build. We'll see what he goes into after that. So he's just getting his Magic Wand and Restoratives. Same thing for Ancient Apparition, except he's opted for an Urn. So he picks up the Urn, which is a good way to regenerate your hit points, not rely on so many salves. And also a very potent nuke early game if he gets charges on it. Oh, this ability here, this lightning you see going on, that's one of Thrall's nukes. It's just sort of a lightning bolt that strikes 3 times. So it's not as bursty as most nukes are. It's a bit of a damage over time nuke. But it's a lot like Zeus's lightning bolt, except spread over a longer period of time. So there's a bit of creep pulling action going on in the top lane. I'm just waiting to see if there's going to be a hero fight over it, but it doesn't look like Sentinel's going to contest it. They're just going to sit back and let the Riki farm the creeps that are at the tower. And it doesn't look like Sentinel got too many kills in it either. This rocket, you see him kind of diving. 2 reasons. One is just to be threatful and aggressive. The other reason is because one of his abilities is a rocket barrage that just hits random units nearby, kind of like Clockwork's assault battery stuns a unit really close to him. Well, this guy, he just fires rockets at anything in a pretty large area. So if he's alone, if there's only like an enemy hero with him, it'll do a lot of damage to the enemy hero. It can do 300 damage just at level 1. Level 1 ability can do 300 damage, but that's only if you're the only thing there is the enemy hero. It's sort of like a lot of other things that hit random units like Luna's ultimate or Jugger's Omni Slash. You want the enemy to be isolated for it to be fully effective. And so more or less, Thrall has just picked up his boots. I'm still waiting to see what interesting items he goes. No one's really working towards anything interesting yet. The Rafflecopter, one item I like on him, I've only played him twice, but I think Lincoln's is a pretty good item on him. However, he does have a Crystal Maiden on his team to help his mana issues, so maybe he can get away without having a Void Stone type item. Something for his mana regen, just with Crystal Maiden alone to give him his mana. We'll see.